Here's Eric.
Right.
Hi, Eric. Great. Okay, today is our virtual special meeting of the Community Connectivity Grant Committee, and on camera we have committee member Jim Lampos, committee member Frank Papalardo, committee member Bonnie Reemsnyder, committee member Eric Olson by phone, and we have myself, Mary Jo Nozel, and Kurt Procharena, our design engineer. And I'm just trying to, things have changed here, to cut out this little box that's covering Kurt's head. It allows me to stop recording and pause recording now, but doesn't used to have a little X on it so you could exit away. I'm afraid to punch anything else. Okay, I just made it really big, so that went away. So that's good. So we'll get underway. It's Monday, October 8th, and welcome everybody. And it doesn't appear we have any public here. Is there anybody there that I can't hear or see besides ourselves? Okay. We have some communication. I was asked to read this. I know I sent it to you all. This is from Sandra and Edgar Butcher for the record. They live at 29 Hartford Avenue. It's dated November 2nd. In their handwriting, I have a copy. It said, "Dear Mr. Griswold, we request that the bond not be released concerning sidewalks because the sod is yet to be put down on 29 Hartford Avenue. No topsoil or seed either. This is a tripping situation and we are holding the town responsible for liability. If we get council and or landscaping company to bring our property up to previous standards, we will hold the town responsible. Husband is 80 and spouse 78, and we physically cannot do the work." It gives a phone number and their names.
Can you give us the background on that? I thought that the work was done there, and wasn't there a problem with people parking on it?
Yes, the work was done. There was still acknowledged work to be completed, and Sandy had called me about 3 weeks ago, and I informed her of that. We were still waiting for DOT go, no go. So the work that had yet to be completed was some tapering from the sides of the driveway to their yard. And the Martin Lavero, our contractor, noticed some of the things they were talking about and had agreed verbally to make it a little bit better. Because the reinforced turf had been laid with the sod and the seed, and the seeds were not given enough time to germinate before they started driving on it. The reinforced turf is coming up in places and there's just spotty grass that grew. So recognizing that last summer, in an interim solution, I did purchase some seed for them, left them with their relative and offered to plant it myself if they wanted it to. And they did not want the seed, apparently, and dropped it back off at my house. So it was meant to be an interim solution while there was a chance for seed to germinate. At this point, there is no chance any seed to go down now that we have DOT approval would germinate at this point.
So if I can just clarify, the work was not addressed by Martin Lavere because he was going to do all of the work together after we got DOT approval?
The tapering was going to be addressed when we got DOT approval, and they came back to finish the work on Hartford Avenue that was on the punch list. The work they're describing had been done. When Kurt and I walked the project again with Martin Lavero last month, he noticed the reinforced turf coming up, and he said that they could cut that down, put some more topsoil on it and make it, you know, less of a concern for them. But that was going to be after we got DOT approval, which happened last week, as you guys know.
So not to dwell on this, but should a response be written to them that articulates what was done, the cause of it not growing, and that it is going to be addressed as soon as Martin Lavero is back on site? Or is that not worth the trouble?
Leave that up to the committee.
I personally think that there's going to be nothing that we're going to ever do that is going to make them satisfied. I think we just, at this point in time, everything we do has to be from a liability standpoint and anticipating litigation.
Well, I guess that's why I'm bringing it up, because we got a letter, and if we don't respond, that doesn't make us look good. So I think that articulating that precisely what was done, including Mary Jo's attempts at stopping there, does cover us should there ever be any litigation, that we were trying, and it's documented in writing. You know, I mean, of course, we can use, you know, this recording as that documentation, but I think in any situation, responding to a letter is the professional way to go about it.
I agree wholeheartedly with you, Bonnie. I think you're right here. And we want to just punch list. This is what we did. This is what we said we are going to do. And this is what we're doing. And then that's it.
And should the letter come from the committee or the first selectman?
Since it was addressed to Tim, I think it should come back from him. No, they didn't address the committee per se. It was addressed to him.
Good point. Good point. I think that maybe if we can, you know, put in writing, and I think Mary Jo, you said it in an email, if we could just give that information to Tim and ask him to respond to them to protect us, I think that that would be appropriate. And I would feel better about it. You know, I guess I'm a little sensitive when people are pointing the finger and making accusations when there has been such a great effort. And Mary Jo, you've gone beyond what any normal person would have done. I mean, you know, and I think it should be pointed out because you truly were trying to solve the problem. And with that said, I understand in the summertime, that's the only place they have to park. So, you know, that is a problem. That's the problem with getting work done for anyone in the summertime, because they're only there in the summertime. But to, you know, write a threatening letter like that is just, you know, I take offense to it. Thank you.
So, Mary Jo, just to follow up, Martin Lavero has to go back to put some more topsoil down, the feather off the sides, correct? That's what they're going to be doing.
That's correct.
So that can get done. Now they're going to have to, I would imagine, in the spring up at the transit bus station that we do, there's going to have to be some seeding and done in the spring. I'm sure Kurt can jump in on that, but if that's the case, perhaps in our letter back, we just state that, and then in March or whenever they come back, they'll throw down some more seed to help germinate over the, you know, the reinforced turf section. And I think that covers, I would think from our standpoint, that there's nothing else that we can do. Because that, you know, basically is what the scope of work was.
Yeah, they could potentially, and I do anticipate there'll probably be some sort of remobilization in the spring, probably from their landscape contractor. They could do an assessment at that time, and if a little bit more seed needs to be put down on the driveway, they could. And if I could offer just a clarification, Mary Jo is absolutely correct. The scope of work was completed to substantial completion. The driveway was driven on before the grass seed had a chance to really germinate and stabilize, so it sort of deformed the matting. Mary Jo and I did notice when we did our punch list visit that we would like a little more topsoil added to be blended in, and the contractor was absolutely fine with that. And that was the part where he said, I'll do that when I remobilize, so it's kind of a two-part thing. The additional soil was something that we just felt was a good gesture, because they had expressed that they did have some concerns with a second vehicle coming in. And so we were trying to be good partners and add some extra soil. And the contractor said, yeah, absolutely. I have no problem, doing that. But the base scope of work was completed correctly per plan, et cetera.
Thank you, Kurt. And I agree, it is a good gesture. I think it was appropriate to do that. And again, I understand that, in the summertime, it's difficult to park anywhere else. I would hope that if we plant seed in the spring, they will make every effort not to park on there, because the only way you're going to grow the grass is if you don't park on it. And, they should be able to park on the road in the spring. So even if they're coming to the house in the spring, that they should be able to park on the road.
Thank you, everybody. I'll send a summary to Tim and ask him to respond
Thank you.
if he feels appropriate to the butchers. Okay. The other communication we had, Kurt notified us all last week that we got DOT approval for the transit hub improvements, and he notified Martin Lavero requesting again the pricing information updates, which would reflect the changes primarily from the regulatory process in town, the zoning and tree commission discussion. And as of last week, Martin Lavero intended to mobilize today. They did not come. He has informed us that they will be mobilizing on Wednesday. He sent a note about 3 o'clock today. And this will also be when they take care of the punch list, work at Teddy's. And I think there'll be some things that they won't probably have. And we can talk about that, like vinyl fencing, those sort of things till next spring. So perhaps when we talk to Dan next, we can try and get on his schedule bright and early for spring, assuming he has the fencing, and we can put some seed down and all that good stuff in the spring. So that's the communication I have. Oh, sorry, I have one other thing. I did send the TRA to Teddy on Friday. I walked it over there so that the work on his eating area that had settled, that we talked about at length before, can get done. The DOT approved that work being part of the grant. So Teddy did sign a TRA allowing Martin Lavero to go on site to do that work. Next, I think I'm going to turn it over to Kurt. We're going to talk about the project updates, which would include the punch list, where we stand with the change order number 3, which is basically the transit hub work, and the budget, any special concerns.
Thanks, Mary Jo. So as Mary Jo indicated, once we got confirmation from DOT, we jumped on the phone with the contractor, and we had provided him with the same plans DOT had after the comments from the town's engineer, et cetera. And we sent him a revised spreadsheet that highlighted the things that had changed, so we could really streamline the process, and just asked him to please fill in the areas where things had changed. We received that back. So what I have done is put together a summary that I'll just share my screen. We can walk through it. I have a second spreadsheet that everybody has seen before. It's the overall project balance. So I'll show that one also. It looks like with the current costs on the revised work and the repair work at Teddy's, we're a little bit over our budget. So a key thing to talk about will be what can we pull out of the transit hub till we can get down. But I'll show both spreadsheets. Unfortunately, I can only show them one at a time. In fact, Mary Jo, would it be helpful if I showed the overall one first to just give it some context?
Sure.
And
And
okay.
Eric, I know you're on the phone, so I'll send copies out, obviously, with the minutes.
I can usually see it on my phone big enough to
Oh, okay.
yeah, to see everything. So
You
it's
got
okay.
good eyes. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, can you see that? And I'll blow it up to the point where I don't want to lose. Is that visible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
this is again the one that we had done. I think it was back in August. So a lot of this hasn't changed, but again, we have the phase one base project. So we have you know, the Martin Lavero bid, and then the incidentals and contingency, and under column B, budget is what we had carried. The two 26-100s were the 10%. Under column C, you could see actual costs. So for example, incidentals 18,150, so we're still under budget. And then contingency 4,310, really under budget. What I've done here is under the project balance, which is kind of the running balance of funding remaining, particularly for incidentals and contingency, I'm using actual expenditures as opposed to the 26-100. I figured it was easier to do that and then add back in under phase two what we thought the expenditures would be, because it's really all one pot of money anyway, so I didn't want to confuse things. So essentially, if you look at line 17 in column E, when all is said and done, we have $116,540 left, essentially left for the transit hub. So then if you look down under column C for transit hub, I've carried, and these are all deducts now, 5,000 and 5,000 as contingency and incidentals. They could be less, but I didn't want to plug in zero. And again, I didn't want to plug in the 20 or the actual balance remaining, because frankly, we're not going to need all of it. So we're sort of reallocating some of that to our available budget. And then the spreadsheet I'll show you, the 113,850 is our actual transit hub cost from the contractor for a grand total of 123,850. And you can see that we're short about $7,000. So we're pretty close. I think at the last meeting we had come down to, I think we had a quote unquote surplus of something like 11,000. So we were already
That's right.
pretty close. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and now we'll focus on the transit hub. And again, sort of our key number is the 7,000. Okay, so here's the transit hub.
So while you're doing that, main changes appear to be the fact that we made some revisions based on Zoni's recommendations. Trees, the costs from the contractor. So that ate into our 11 grand surplus.
Can everybody see that okay?
Yeah.
So column A is our, and this is that same spreadsheet by there that we had a while back when we
Hi,
were
Mr. Hurahan.
going through the list. So you've got the core infrastructure, And the subtotal for that was 44,100. Then as Mary Jo pointed out, I'll just point out a couple of things. Row 8, the concrete aprons went up a little bit because they're extended. I think that was it. Incidental work. Oh, I just noticed oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. I thought I noticed a typo. We're okay, sorry. 1 bicycle repair station, 2 bike racks, 1 bench. So that adjustment's been made. Post and rope fence unchanged. Okay, so we've added under line 22, the transit signs, bus stop only. Line 23, we added the vinyl picket fence along the northern property, 6250. And then the 2 line items, remove vinyl fence and remove wood fence, 1,200 each. Those are new for an incidental subtotal of 31,650. And then landscaping, we've reduced the quantity of the cedars to 18, and we're distributing them along 2 properties. So that's 11,250. And then we changed the 3 oak trees to maple trees, and that went up by a few $1,000s for a total landscaping of 18,750. The other cost, 17,100, actually, I think that is a typo.
I was wondering about that. Okay.
Yeah. So that was a carryover from our previous. So that should be the 10, and that's comprised of the 5 plus 5.
Yep.
So that helped a little bit. And then the last item is the repair at 264 Shore Road, fixing his area of settled pavement. That's 2,250 for a grand total of 106,750. So let me just revise this, make sure I have it correct. So 106,750. Okay, so we're somebody will have to check these numbers for me. That was kind of a dramatic swing, but
Kurt, did the 106,750 include those, that 5,000 and 5,000 as the 10,000, or is
oh,
the
Bonnie, that's a
contingent?
great point.
Because it's here again.
Okay, it
costs.
does. So are we double counting that?
I think
Yes.
so. I think
Okay.
So,
I think so.
That's a team effort right there. Okay, so what I should do is
either take it out of other costs.
yeah. So for
or-
now, you know what I'll do, just for the purpose,
Yeah,
I'll just zero it out. 96,750.
Yep.
right.
There we go.
All right.
That's teamwork right there.
Nice.
Thank you.
As long as we're going in the right direction, we're a
Yes,
good team.
we like it when when it works that way.
Nice catch. Nice catch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So we don't have to worry about what to take out of the package, but I'd like to go back to those numbers again, just so I'm comfortable with the fencing issues here. So we added some the bituminous that was per the town engineer's request, right?
Yep, that's up here. That's concrete aprons.
Okay.
That's new.
And delete curb. What's this delete back curb?
Oh,
That
that's just a
notation.
note for the type 12 ramp. That's just a note so the contractor realizes that there's no back curb on it. A standard DOT type 12 ramp has a curb on the back of it that we're not using because we have our sidewalk connecting at the back.
Okay, and then we got 10 by 20. That's the bituminous pad in front of the shelter.
Right.
Okay. Section. Bike racks, 1 bench. Post rope fence. Is that going the entire Is that going, the entire perimeter around the northern portion, or what was the, final outcome on how far that fence was going?
Yeah, that goes along the front, and I don't want to speak out of turn.
Yeah.
Let me just call up those plans really quick. Sorry about the delay. My computer
No problem.
just wasn't being nice to me. Can everybody see that? I know it's kind of small. Let me see if I can blow this up.
Nice.
So the post and rope fence starts here,
Mhm.
continues this way, stops at the shelter, restarts here, goes along, and then makes one turn to the south right there. And then over here, it kind of mirrors it over here. So this segment, that segment, this segment, that segment.
Okay. Let's go to the next item, which were the plantings. I see that you changed the staggering of those plantings
Oh, yep.
and the fence and the picket fence. We could go back to the design again.
Yep, so these plantings per the zoning commission were redistributed. Well, originally they were redistributed per their request along the entire property line. This row was eliminated and replaced with the fence. So that's why the number went down to 18.
Right. Now, I thought we were going to put a couple in some sort of greenery in front of the white picket fence and at the Blishing's residence, and I believe I still haven't been able to connect with Kenya, but I believe he didn't want plantings and he wanted a fence instead of plantings. So that's why that question I sent you back a while back was how much is the fence per linear foot? We can kind of make a decent estimate as to whether that fence versus the plantings are going to be more costly or not.
I didn't know that either, Frank, that Mr. Pena wanted, a fence. That's new. We didn't have that at our last meeting. That
Well, I've
discussion.
been trying to call him and I called several times. I keep getting busy signals. So apparently I either have the wrong number or something going on there. So I think we're still gonna have to get in touch with him to get a hard conversation going with him. Just to make sure that we're on board with whether it's plantings or fence.
I don't
When-
have the zoning decision in front of me. My impression was that zoning wanted greenery there regardless. Is that accurate, or am I remembering that?
I think we told them it would be, we agreed to redistribute the greenery.
Right.
And the only fence I believe we discussed, Frank, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was it was going to be fence and or plantings at the Lishings.
Right, we talked about fencing and plantings, and they're as long as the neighbors were happy, they seemed to be happy. They did want some greenery in there, which I think we all agreed to. So we may want to put on a bush or something somewhere on the lishing fence side, something to just break up the linearness of the fence. And then we really have to firm up whether it's greenery or fencing on Pena's south border.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
already know, yeah.
the only discussion, the last time I shared with the committee that Mr. Pena and I chatted is they were concerned about the animals that would be attracted to the trees. So, but he didn't verbalize not having trees to me, and he never mentioned a fence to me.
Okay, I mean, I have no problem if it's trees or fence or kind of a little bit of both. I just think we need to firm that up. But you're saying that little section of fence at the lishings is $6,500, Kurt?
Yes, it's 80 feet of fence.
What kind of fence is it?
It's Frank had sent an example. It's a picket fence with a scalloped top. Nominal height is 5 feet, but it has the scalloping, so it's
Yeah.
not a straight top.
Right.
Standard white vinyl.
It's $81 a linear foot, $81.25.
And that would include installation?
Yes, that's, yep,
Yeah, so
procurement
that's
and
why it's-
installation.
That's more money than the trees were. I thought it'd be less.
I think we're probably seeing some pricing pressures because of the supply chain issues. I have a feeling there's a little bit of that probably built in there.
The spacing on the western border of the Pena and Sheffield property, spacing those trees, I can't see it here on the thing. It's awful small.
Yeah, it's about 6 to 7 feet trunk to trunk.
Okay. Those trees don't get very high, or they do, or they.
I mean, over a long period of time, they will. But these are pretty compact, uniform type trees. They're similar to Abrevieties, but they're a lot more deer resistant than Abrevieties. The deer will only touch these when they're really, really desperate.
These the western or the eastern?
These are the western red cedar. So what's interesting is we had a conversation with the supplier. Our landscape architects talked to the supplier. Initially, he thought that it was eastern red cedar, and he said, well, we can't plant those in the fall. But they're not. These are absolutely fine for planting in the fall. In fact, we're doing some of these right now on some other projects. They tolerate fall planting very well. We're doing some 20-foot high versions of these on another project. But my landscape architect told me the names of these plants, western red cedar and eastern red cedar, are deceiving. They are completely different trees. He said a lot of people think, oh, it's a cedar tree. He said it's actually not, it just sounds the same. They're actually completely different trees, which I thought was interesting. These are a lot cleaner and uniform looking than sort of the wild cedar trees we have around here that kind of just grow, not randomly, but they're not as compact and uniform. These are much more manicured looking and will stay as such longer than a native eastern red cedar, apparently.
Kurt, in the design, I can't make it out because it's awful small here. On the lower left-hand corner, by the entrance, there's a square there, and I can't figure out what that square is.
This right here,
Yeah.
That is a concrete washout area.
For us?
Yeah, it's just temporary. The contractor, when they have concrete delivered to the site.
Oh, that's part of the construction drawings. That's not part of the
Yes.
end result. Okay.
Yep,
okay.
yep.
Just looking at Mary Jo's email from the 13th of October, and I just want to clarify our fence versus tree issue. She said the zoning commission's special permit application for the transit hub was approved with the condition that landscaping be adjusted for some coverage between the two directly abutting properties to buffer the sight line of the abutter behind the easternmost property. So I just want to confirm that we're not in an either or situation with fence and trees. Even if we have fence, we're going to need some greenery in there. Is that correct?
With respect to the
I'm not sure
listings,
that was very clear, Jim, to be honest with you. I mean,
With respect to the eastern property, the Pima.
Yeah, these would be the listings, I believe. No, it would be the Peñas.
that was our understanding of that was our discussion that night, that there would be
Right.
some greenery there for sure.
They just don't want to see solid fence. They want to see some nature breaking it up, is my impression, right?
yeah, that's what I got.
And
Yeah.
I did not get the impression that we were limited to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, how much buffering we needed to help Mr. Sheffield, which is the northern property behind Piñas. I don't think that.
I agree. They didn't mention it. They just put something there.
Yeah.
That was it.
So
I mean,
if we had to move a couple of those plantings to the lishing side, would that be all right?
From my perspective, yes. And as we had discussed previously, we should get concurrence from Dan Beret because it is a change to the approved plan. Jim is correct that their verbiage was specific to redistribute the plantings along the entirety. So we're actually, by removing plantings, it's a technicality, but I think it is worthwhile to cross the Ts and dot the Is, circle back with Dan on any deviation from that language. I don't think it'll be an issue because it's going to look really good and it's going to accomplish the intent of what was there. But just so we make sure that you're able to confirm it with the authorities having jurisdiction that it was approved, because technically it is a change.
I would agree with you, Kurt.
and I think their whole objective was intent. Make it look pretty, basically, is what they, just make it look pretty and
That's right.
try to keep the customers happy, i.e. the three property owners.
Yep,
Which-
that's how I took it, and I think it'll be an easy. I can't see why they would object to what we're doing. I think it's just good for the committee to have that
Yeah.
documented, that they did circle back and
Yeah.
that the authorities were okay with it.
I did see Dan Beret last week. I told him that you were going to be providing updated plans. And he said that'd be great. They would just file that. But if there's going to need to be some verbiage around what we're providing them with respect to redistributing the trees from this plan, then maybe you could provide some language to that. So I make sure that, he's looking directly at what we think we might want to do.
Yeah, and I also think because these plans have been provided to DOT, they're now part of the permit package.
Mhm.
If we make any changes, we'll have to send them updated plans. I don't think they will be concerned, but again, we just want to cross Ts, dot the Is.
Well, I have
Same
no
thing.
problem with these plans the way they are. So, as long as Dan's good with them.
Well, these don't show any plantings in front of the listings, Frank.
Right,
Yeah, well, that's what I said. If Dan's good with this, then this would be fine.
yeah. I would show him this and if he's okay with no plantings in front of the Lishings, I would
They
go
have
with it.
this. Right, Frank? Kurt, this is,
Pardon me?
Kurt, didn't he get this one? Or not?
You know, I'm not, I think we were gonna wait, Mary Jo, until this meeting to make
Oh,
sure
okay.
everybody was comfortable.
Okay,
Because I don't think the committee has actually seen these final revisions.
well, I wasn't sure because when we presented to zoning, I had my back behind. So I couldn't see what you were
Yeah.
showing. I assumed it was this.
Yeah, and it was, this is the version that includes really what, the only things that have changed visually are the aprons and the plantings.
Okay, okay, all right.
And I should say even more specifically, the cedars. That's the only thing that changed.
Okay, okay, so I'm clear now. So this is the set of plans that includes the zoning changes
Right. yeah.
and that reflect what happened in zoning and the tree commission recommendations, and they have not seen these. Okay,
Right.
okay,
Oh, that's actually right. Another good point, Mary Jo. I think at the time we presented to zoning, they were still oak trees down in the front, and now we've changed them to maples. These three. Minor change, but if the committee's okay with this as is, we can absolutely provide this set to Dan for the record.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
okay.
All right, they will be in his hands tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay. So just following that along, Frank, if you need me to send you the phone number that the Pinas called me on, if you're having trouble, I can send that to you.
Yeah, you just send it me. I'll just call them and tell them, by the way, we're gonna fix the property line, take your fence out and put plantings in.
And you can say there aren't as many trees as originally
Yeah.
projected based on not only his input, but the zoning commission's input.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
And I might add the contractor, the scope of work includes the contractor giving the fence segments that he takes out to the property owner. So they will stack them up. They're not going to throw them away. They'll just stack them up and give them to the property owner.
Mhm.
And if he wants to reinstall it on his property line, that's fine with us, right?
Yep.
Good. Anything more on the budget? It's very nice. I like the number that we're at. And that makes me feel a little better because I told finance last week that I thought we were just barely under budget. So that's great. So thank you. As far as, go ahead. Did I interrupt you, Kurt?
No, I'm all set.
Okay.
I'll send out these spreadsheets, Mary Jo, so you've got them for everybody.
All right, great. And then, do you want to send me electronically those plans for Dan, or do you want to send them directly to him?
Why don't I send them to you, and that way, you know, you're sending them on behalf of the committee, probably better.
All right. Can we go into what's going to be specifically then on the change order 3, just briefly? Then that will need to be signed by, does that have to be signed by Tim?
It does, yeah. I'll have that out. If the committee is okay with the costs and the plan, that'll go out tomorrow. I'll sign it, then it will get sent to Tim for his signature. If he can turn that around, then I send it to Dan for his final signature, and then it becomes official, if you will.
Okay.
And then I'll provide Dan a set of the plans. And we've already provided him the essentially the plans for the pavement patch at 264 Shore Road. So once he gets that, he'll be ready to go.
Okay, great. So if he does mobilize on Wednesday, before this is signed off, he'll start on Hartford Avenue then with the aprons?
Yeah, and in fact, I'm hoping he could start on both simultaneously because the weather's starting to turn. Well, it's gonna be a nice week, but at this time of the year, every warm day is a gift. So I'm really hoping he hits this on multiple fronts.
Okay. There any questions from the committee on this information? We had a member of the public join us after we had public comment. Mr. Burhan, do you want to comment on anything before we move on?
No,
Okay, thanks.
thank you.
Special concerns, that was sort of a catch-all for me. See if anybody had any special concerns. I have one, and that is the fact that as of next Monday, I won't be a member of the Board of Selectmen. And I had hoped to address that with the board at our last meeting, but it was canceled. I'm going to ask if it's okay with the committee that I stay on till this is complete, but it's a possibility that I won't be, and I just wanted to let you all know that. So,
Well,
By
I
all
hope
means,
you
Mary
stay
Jo.
on.
By all means, stay on, please. Please
Please.
stay on, Mary Jo.
I'm not gonna ask to leave, but I, just wanted to be upfront with the fact that it's a possibility that they may not want me on this anymore, so just letting you guys know.
I can't see that happening, but thanks for bringing it up.
Sure. All right, invoices. We'll move on to invoices. I got an email from finance today that the finance department received Martin Lavero's third invoice and has paid it on Friday. And I had never seen the second invoice, which was the one for asking for them to hold because of the punch list items. So I'm assuming that means that they paid the third one. However, I checked with Kurt right before our call and he hasn't seen the third one. Isn't that correct, Kurt?
Yeah, that's correct. We had left it that when they submitted, and we had conversations with the contractor about this, when they submitted their second application, it included 100%. And it just had some minor things that weren't included. And I said, well, because the DOT has inspected the work and has identified 5 areas that need to be reconstructed, it's not 100%. And the town should not be paying 100% until that work is rectified. And the contractor was fine with that. This is when we thought he'd mobilize pretty quickly. At that point, we didn't realize it would be November until he went back out there. But and then we didn't hear anything. I reminded the contractor at one point about it again. And then, at some point I said, well, because there's no work taking place, maybe they're just going to wait. So as far as I'm concerned, I have never approved revised application for payment number 2,
Okay.
which again wouldn't include, and then I've never seen, or I haven't certified application number 3 either.
Okay. So the committee knows, because I just got this today. This is application number 3, according to this, and in the amount of $14,226.25. So I'm not sure what's going on. I sent a note to finance saying I'm really surprised you got this. So I'll find out tomorrow. What I was sent doesn't even have Tim's signature on it, so I'm not sure if there's another page to this or a note that was supposed to come to my attention, but I'll try and find out more information. If they haven't paid it, I'll ask them to hold it since our engineer hasn't seen it yet. And if they have paid it, I'll let you know that too, Kurt. but this committee hasn't approved it, so. I don't think we should even consider it until Kurt sees it. Don't you guys agree?
Agreed.
All right,
Yeah, that's usually the process.
yeah,
I mean, just what Kurt brought up is why it always goes through the engineer first to look over things and confirm that the billing is correct and the percentages are correct and everything else.
right.
So I'm surprised. But you said they paid it already, number 3?
Well, that's my impression, but because it's stamped from the town. But I'm not 100% sure of that.
Okay, so maybe it was submitted for payment.
I've never gotten something like this before from finance. The whole thing was kind of strange. So I'm going to try and figure that out tomorrow and let you all know.
Okay,
As far as the 3 invoices for BSC Group that we approved at our last meeting, as of Friday, finance had not received them. I did check with Tim. He said that he sent them up maybe sometime late in the day on Friday. So I'm Kurt, it's my way of saying I'm sorry. These were worked through August. I'll find out tomorrow for sure if finance has seen them.
All right, thank you. And just for full disclosure, we have another round of invoices that were included in that spreadsheet I sent you, Mary Jo, as of last Friday that are going out because we invoice monthly, so
Okay.
it's been a little while for those. So just another round is coming, and you'll get copied on those, Mary Jo. So if you have any issues, let me know.
Could you do me a favor, Kurt? Could you put
Yes.
that summary up for the committee? 'Cause
Yep, absolutely.
I appreciate it. Because then Kurt put this together. I saw it today, and it's a nice summary of the eligible cost and the non-eligible costs. Thank you, Kurt. That's
Yep, my pleasure. Do you want me to walk through it or?
yeah, would you? That'd be
Okay,
great.
yep. So as everybody knows, we kind of have 3 buckets that we're tracking money on the project. Construction inspection is grant eligible. And if you recall, that's the 26, was it 26,100 or something that we had set aside. So that's kind of what we're working against. So that's this top summary here. To date, 4 invoices have been sent to the town. And then the invoice that I just mentioned is this last one that I called pending. So under that category, as of Friday, total expenditure is $18,149.75.
And you
Then
do
we
you
have,
expect that to be
go
the end of that pot then?
this will grow as a result of the transit hub.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And that's where we're physically in the field, inspecting the work.
Right.
Design services during construction is town funded. And that is submittal reviews, these meetings, et cetera. 4 invoices sent to date. And then the pending that I just mentioned to date, that's 19,000 as of Friday, $19,995. And then the transit hub design, and we are essentially, this is it, we're done. 2 invoices have been sent, 3rd is pending, and total to date is $13,330.32. And that's essentially done. Now we will only see time under inspection, and there will be some submittals that come in for the transit hub. That's really about it under design services. So there will be a little bit more money on there, but not much, especially because he's going to be done inside of 3 weeks.
So when I added those up, that comes to $33,325.32 of the non-eligible, the non-eligible buckets. So as the committee knows, we were kind of tracking as best as we could what we think we'd need if we went to town meeting, and we thought you know, worst case scenario would be 40,000 to cover the municipal costs, and primarily they're the costs of using VSC Group because the town does not have engineer services. So, basically, VSC Group has been contracted to do these services for the town. Also included in there are costs for the two easements, or the easements and the survey, correct, Kurt?
That is correct. Yeah, these are all inclusive costs.
So, I think it's fair, again, the town didn't have a survey for the lot that the transit hub's being built on. So that came right out of our costs, which was like 3,500. And then the easement, which was 1,800, also came out of these costs. So, but I think the thought that we might need 40 looks pretty accurate at the worst case scenario. And we've been, very open with telling the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance that for a very long time. But this is really helpful, Kurt. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Are there any questions on the budget?
Just to be clear about the way the first selectman and finance want to see this, how under budget are we on construction again with our new number that we just came up with?
Let's see. So do you mean, Jim, with the transit hub?
Yeah, I mean all in, including the transit hub.
Oh, yeah, okay. Bear with me. Let me just open that
Was-
spreadsheet up
It was
again.
pretty low.
We're at 9,000
Yeah,
under budget.
not a lot.
Right.
9 or 10,000 under budget.
Okay.
And we were 11,000, as you guys know, previous iteration, and that
Right.
the finance and the Board of Selectmen have that budget.
And now we have 33,000 in ineligible costs.
Those are, yeah, well, we have 33,000 in eligible costs
Right.
for engineering. And then Tim was asking us to cover the legal costs, so any legal with the lawyers. So we're carrying 7,000. Those haven't changed from our last budget, 7,575. Nobody's talked to a lawyer, to my knowledge, since last June. We had to pick up some costs with Seal for printing for the bids. That's $52. Advertising in the day was $300. I had anticipated we might need to pay for the regulatory process in going through zoning based on a few meetings ago comments from Tim, but zoning picked all those up, so I backed those out. That was $800. So what I had at our last budget was a carrying 35,427. Well, I haven't had a chance to compare it with, the actuals that Kurt provided us today.
So if we have, a few more, 2 more or 3, I guess, pending invoices from Kurt, and say we're at around 40.
Yeah.
Minus the, and let's say that our projections are correct, just for the sake of argument,
Mhm.
minus 9,000 surplus that we'll have under construction. So now, we're close to 31,000. And then we have our contingencies, which it looks like we may not have to use. Correct?
That's
I mean,
right. We're carrying the 10,000
Yeah,
split up 5 and 5, contingency and
Right.
incidentals,
right.
grant eligible. That's one of the issues, is that unfortunately you can't mix
Right.
grant, we have
Right.
to keep
But
it separate pots.
in the end, the ask may not be quite as high as 40,000. It may be substantially.
And
Right.
the point is, they mixed it. because they were saying that we were covered because we had a budget of 400,000. So in essence, we approved that whatever 8 or 9,000 that we may be under budget for
Mhm.
eligible costs.
Mhm.
The money was still approved for the project.
Right.
So to your point, Jim, you're right. It may be closer to 30,000 because if we go by their explanation, that 10,000 covers the budgeting part of it. Not where
Right.
the money comes from, but the budgeting, the approval process for
Right. They
budgeting.
approved 400 all in, and if we have to
Right.
send 40,000 back, they're not really concerned about it because of the way they're looking at it. I'm
Right.
guessing money's just going to come out from surplus or from some other pot if they give it back to the state.
Right.
But for our purposes, and if that's the way they want to look at it, the way we will be looking at it, the final ask may be considerably less when we're all said and done, depending on when they decide to go to town meeting.
Yeah, agreed. And, you know, I played with this quite a bit last month. I don't see any way to get it much under where it is, so that it would be something the Board of Finance could.
Could
you know,
approve, right? It would have to be under 20,000.
Yeah,
Um,
without scrapping the landscaping and a couple other things, I don't see how I can get it any lower.
unless Tim finds areas that some expenses can be posted to.
Yeah,
So assuming they don't have an interest in pushing this very quickly at the Board of Selectmen or at Finance, I'm guessing that no shovels go in the ground until spring. We're not signing, we're not giving Lavero the go-ahead. Would that be correct? Are we going to hold up the entire project until we get approval from Finance and go to town meeting?
I don't think so.
We're going to move forward with what we can move forward with.
yeah,
I thought we
I
were
think
approved
Board
to,
of
I thought we were
Finance.
approved to move forward, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
what Tim told us at a couple of our meetings ago is the minute we go over 400,000, he needs to know that.
Right. Somewhere in there, we're going to have to.
We're trying to track that without
Yeah.
getting invoices.
Right.
It's hard. We're doing the best
If we
job
have-
we can.
If we haven't gone to town meeting, or if the town meeting doesn't go our way, we're going to have to stop construction at some point. I'm guessing, right?
He's not,
He's got to work it out. He's got
Yeah, I
to
mean-
make it happen.
there's clearly not going to be a town meeting in November, and that's when we intend to be done, except for the spring, when they come back and remobilize for a few things in the spring. Possibly they won't have the vinyl fencing till then, I doubt it.
Mhm.
So, but the heavy stuff will be complete.
I was under the impression we were okay to move forward, so that's why we signed. And Tim is gonna have to sign the extent or the contract modification with Lavero, so he's gonna be the one that's, signing it. He'll know whether we can or can't go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything, has had the budget all along. He knows that the municipal costs, he knows where they are. He knows we're going to be around 40. That's been something we've been very open about discussing for months. And it has been discussed. I gave the previous budget to the Board of Finance last month, so they have it. I think unless Tim does not sign change order number 3, we go forward.
We're gonna submit it to him anyhow next week, right? Or in the next day or two.
Sounds like this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have that out to Martin Lavero in the morning. But I'm sorry. I will have change order 3 to Tim first thing in the morning. If he turns it around, Martin Lavero will have it, tomorrow.
Okay, we'll know by tomorrow afternoon if there's a problem or not, right? I'm sure of it.
Okey doke. Any other questions on this? All right, can we move on to approval of minutes from October 14th?
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Eric.
I'll second it. I read them.
Thank you, Frank. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Thank you, Bonnie. Oh, and it looks like I jumped the gun on committee membership. Everybody else is staying on, right, till this is done? Nobody else is.
Actually,
All right.
Yeah.
good.
after 5, I gotta get going.
All right, we're getting there. How are we doing next meetings? Just wait and see how things get signed, this week. We'll go from there. Okay,
Yeah.
Good.
then I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Frank. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Aye.
everyone. Happy
Thanks,
everybody.
Thanksgiving.
Have a great night,
Thanks,
everybody.
Mary Jo.
Buddy.
See y'all later.
Bye.
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 Me.